welcome back to another video. So it's been a few weeks since I've uploaded a video, and that's because I had my third baby boy. He was born on August 31st, 2021. It was an elective induction, and I'm going to get into all of the details of my labor and delivery and kind of talk about just that and like how we're adjusting these first few weeks. He's going to be 2 weeks old tomorrow. So I'm just going to go over all of that in this video. If that interests you, then keep watching. Okay, first of all, I want to apologize if there's any screaming, noises, or tantrums in the background. I do have a 4-year-old and an almost 3-year-old, and they have both pretty much dropped off their naps, and it's really hard to try to find a quiet place to film right now that has good lighting during the daytime when everybody else is awake. So just want to apologize for that if background noise is crazy. But let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with right when I go into the hospital for my induction. We went into the hospital the night before I turned 39 weeks. And they were just going to start my IV and monitor baby. 2 inductions prior, my body was progressing really well, and the baby was estimated over 3 weeks ahead, based on their measurements, based on the ultrasound and measuring my belly. I had not gained any weight, so we'll go ahead and talk about that. I was exactly 200 pounds when I found out I was pregnant, and at the time of delivery I was 199 pounds. So I had actually lost weight up to like 192 was my lowest this pregnancy, but gradually the last month I gained it back. So I was pretty much around the same weight at delivery as I was pre-pregnancy. I never had any gestational diabetes or high blood pressure. The only thing they said is he had a good amount of fluid around him. Alright, so we go in a little after 11 to get checked into labor and delivery, getting ready for my induction, right? Well, of course I get my IV, and they put monitors on my stomach, this really cool technology, we thought, like a wireless monitor. I was always used to, because I had tons of like non-stress tests in my second pregnancy, the bands with the little 2 monitors, one that monitors you and one that monitors baby, and I was so used to that, and so this was really neat. I will show a picture right here. And after that was all set up and they were getting that monitored, it wasn't reading correctly very often, so they were constantly having to come back in and try to fix it, and that was a little uncomfortable, but I just went with it. I got swabbed for like COVID testing. They didn't swab my husband at all, and it's about 2:30 a.m. now. My COVID test comes back negative, so that's all good there. And they end up taking off that wireless monitor, and it just wasn't reading correctly. They kept trying like different batteries, and for some reason it wasn't. And when they did, she was shocked. She said it looked like that the little sensors had burned my skin, like I had little blisters. And I end up checking my cervix, and I'm 60% effaced and still dilated the same I was at my previous appointment. Okay, so now it's about 3:30 in the morning. They started me on Pitocin through my IV at 2 ml. And my contractions were consistent 4 to 5 minutes apart on the monitors that were reading correctly now. And so we had that going. Okay, it's about 7:30 a.m. now. The nurses were doing their shift changes. They ended up doing me a second bag of the Pitocin. I had already went through the first one, and I was bumped up to 8 ml now, and I was waiting for their shift to change, me to meet my day nurses, and for my doctor to come in. Okay, at this point it's 8 a.m. and I'm already having some pretty intense pain with my contractions in my back. I had back labors both times previously where majority of my pain is in my back, and I have horrible back pain even to this day, like not in labor, and to the point where it makes me nauseous, it makes my head spin, or I can't think straight. And it was, of course, just like that, but, you know, heightened much more for being in labor. Obviously, my doctor came in and she checked me. I was about 3.5 centimeters dilated at this point, still 60% effaced and -2 position. And she ended up breaking my water just then because she wanted to get, you know, the labor process rolling a little bit more and see if I could progress. And there was so much fluid, and it hurt as well when she broke my water. I remember that very much this time. It was very uncomfortable. Now, I'm not saying what she used hurt me, but I think there was just so much fluid. It just, I don't know, but I was very uncomfortable to begin with because with each contraction, I was having the horrible back pain. So I was just willing to just do whatever you got to do to get this process going a little faster. And she did, and there was so much fluid. Before she could even leave the room, they had to change out this like bed pad that was under me, I think 3 times, and it was just a lot, and it did not stop. It just continued and continued for what seemed like hours. Like I would just have fluid come out of me. All right, and before my doctor had left, she did say, well, you can have the epidural anytime you want it. And I was already honestly feeling to that point where I wanted it. And I didn't understand because, see, with my first pregnancy, I didn't get the epidural till I was 4 centimeters. And with my second pregnancy, I didn't get it until I was 5 centimeters. And I wanted to try to go as long as I could without it, because my first one that I also had done at this same hospital, it did not work right. It failed on me. It only worked on half of my body, and then when it got to the time of pushing, it had completely worn off and they wouldn't give me any more, and I did not want a repeat of that situation. My second delivery was completely different, but yeah, so I was trying to hold off, but I was in tears from the back pain. It was so bad. And I just felt like I went ahead and I told my doctor. She came back in before, I guess she was heading out or checking on other patients. And my husband said, we want to go ahead and get her the epidural. And she goes, oh, you do? And I was like, yeah. And I cried because my husband was all like, if they have something to help you with the pain, you should not have to suffer through this. You know, you don't need to put yourself in more pain when they have something that will ease it up. But I don't know. I think women are on different scales. They're either like, no, I can do this. This is what my body's supposed to do. Or give me the drugs. I don't want to feel anything. I tend to lean more towards this side, but I wasn't opposed to having the epidural. I just wanted to see if I could do it without it. And you just kind of, when you give in, even if you were okay with it, you just didn't really want it. I just felt really disappointed in myself, that felt like I was chickening out and I couldn't stick through it. And I'm like, I just don't understand, because this is what my body's supposed to be able to do. But, yeah, so I ended up getting my epidural and a catheter placed. And whenever they placed my catheter, I had been going to the restroom pretty steadily and emptying my bladder very often. before they placed the catheter. And when they did, my bladder emptied out 700 ml, and the nurse was shocked. She says, usually when someone needs to go to the restroom, when they empty their bladder, it's just like 200 ml or something. And I was like, whoa. I was like, well, I just like went not too long ago. So I don't know if it's just the way baby was positioned, blocking certain things. Maybe that's why in the end of your pregnancy, you're going to the restroom every 15, 20 minutes because you can't completely empty out your bladder, I suppose. I don't know. So I was shocked by that. It hurt when they placed the catheter in me. It hurt horribly when I had the epidural this time. More so than my first time. I remember being in so much pain my first time, but they were letting me like lean on my husband, and I don't know, I was just relieved just to get it done. This time they would not let my husband over near me. I had to kind of do it myself. There was a nurse like in front of me, and she was not really the nicest nurse, honestly. I don't know what her problem was. There's a fly. I don't know what her problem was, but she did not give off the energy that I was needing at that time. And I just wanted to lean into my husband, but they wouldn't let him. So I just was trying to get through it. Now I don't know if she's called an anesthesiologist, but the woman, get it, buddy, get it. The woman that administered my epidural this time was fantastic, and she knew her stuff. And it did work the entire time. It did numb me to where I didn't feel that much pain until right near delivery. I was feeling lots of sharp pain. But I was able to move my legs the entire time. Like, I'm pretty sure I could have still gotten out of bed and walked around, even with my epidural. They don't let you do that. But she says that's how an epidural is supposed to be. It's supposed to make you not feel the pain of the contractions, but still know when you're having them. And know whenever it's time to push, obviously. But it was really weird. Every single experience I've had with an epidural has been different. But she knew her stuff. She was great. She was super friendly. I just had issues with a few of my nurses just not being very loving, I guess. I don't know, but yeah. Okay, so at this point, this is a few hours later. I didn't write down the time for this one, but I think it was around like 11:30-ish. My doctor came back and checked me again. I hadn't progressed a lot. I was 80% effaced, and I was 4 centimeters dilated. You got ice cream?
Yes, Daddy.
Good. All right, go out there and eat it. All right. So I was progressing, but very slowly. But I was not feeling my contractions really. I wasn't even feeling like Braxton Hicks type. But they said, "Are you not feeling these?" And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "You can move your legs though, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Well, these are pretty intense contractions." I was like, "They are?" She goes, "Yeah, you're having about 200 in 10 minutes or something." I was like, whoa, that's a lot. At this point, I'm on my 4th bag of IV fluid, and they even upped my Pitocin to 12 ml now. I was told, to rest in between their visits, but they were coming in every 15 to 20 minutes to have me reposition myself or to do something like blood pressure cuff, and I cannot rest, even if I had not been asleep for over 24 hours, with someone coming in interrupting me every 15 minutes. And I know that's their job, so I'm not complaining. I was expecting it, but yeah, it was just really hard to even think about resting with all of that going on. I was actually trying to close my eyes and rest, and I started feeling a lot of pressure down around my pubic bone area, to the point where it was sending sharp shooting pains like lightning. And it wasn't the same as my second son. I felt pressure towards my my bottom, like I needed to have a bowel movement, and this didn't feel like that this time. And so I was waiting for that kind of feeling. But my second son came so fast that I was nervous about waiting. So I went ahead and had a doctor come in, and she checked me, and I was, I don't know how much effaced I was, but baby's head was right there, and I was 9 centimeters dilated. And she was like, okay. She's like, you want to do some practice pushes? And I'm like, no, I don't. I was like, unless you want to catch this baby, because the last time I delivered, my son came out in 3 pushes. And she goes, oh, okay. She goes, well, let me go check to see where your doctor is right now. And then she came back in maybe 5-10 minutes later, and I'm just trying to not push with the sharp pains that I was feeling. And she was like, well, the other mom in the room next to you, she's at a 9 as well. So we will see who has this babies first, who gets the doctor. And I was like, oh, okay. And she was like, but we're going to go ahead and get everything done. But my husband was not feeling very well that day. My husband deals with like bad arthritis throughout his entire body, and he was having a bad pain day. And so he had pretty much slept my entire labor. He would wake up when someone came in, and then, whatever. But he was not feeling good. And around the time my doctor came into the room, he ran to the restroom and was throwing up from being in pain. And she had me do a push while he was in there. And, they were like, with this set of contractions, I want you to push 3 times. I want you to push really hard for 10 seconds, then take a deep breath, and then before letting that out, push another 10 seconds. We're going to do 3 times during this contraction. And I was like, okay, but I did not push to the potential that they wanted me to, because I was terrified he was just going to come out. And my husband wasn't there. So, luckily, after that one passed, and it was horrible, horrible painful, my husband came back to my side, and then I was like, okay, I can do this now. Second round of pushes, or second contraction that came, they said, do the same thing. We're going to push 3 times. And I really gave it my all that time, and I thought he was going to rip me in half. I thought I was going to die right there on that table. It was really, really bad. I was like, yeah, he's definitely going to be bigger than my first son. His head, for sure. It was extremely painful. But I was, ready to push, I guess. And then with the third set of contraction, they told me to push as well, and he came out on the third one. I did not think I was going to be able to do it. I was in tears from the pain. It was just very, very intense. And I don't know, it happened. My doctor was great. My husband was there, and then the 2 nurses. I didn't really remember too much of what they had going on. But my doctor was great and very helpful, and I did tear in 2 spots. One was like a 1st-degree tear, I believe, and one was a 2nd-degree tear. I don't know where they were. I just know she did her little stitching and went about her way pretty much. I was very, very emotional. They did let me do skin to skin with Walter for a very long time, like well over an hour. And that's the first for me. I didn't have that with either of my boys. 19 inches long and only 8 pounds, 5 ounces. He just had a big old head. They said that his head was measuring over the 90th percentile. It looked completely normal to me. But because of that, they were going to have to do little heel sticks on him every 2 hours for 12 hours just to make sure that his levels were where they wanted him, and they were great. He passed every single time. It was just something that they have to do, I guess, if he measures a certain way. But he was just absolutely perfect, and he has my husband's skin tone, which is, you know, darker than my fair complexion, and he has dark hair. I don't know if that means he's going to have his daddy's brown eyes. My other two boys are blonde-haired, blue eyes like me, and I'm just so in love with him. He's just so pretty, and he has a little dimple in his chin, or some people call it like a cleft chin, and the only person that I know of in my family or my husband's family that has that is my mother. And so he got a little piece of his Mimi in him. Hopefully it stays, but you know, he may outgrow it, or one day if he has a beard or something, you won't even get to see it. But I think it's just the cutest thing on him. And he's got no butt at all. Thank goodness I still have my newborn cloth diaper stash to fit on him, because he was itty bitty on his bottom half. And the experience I've had delivering has been different. We did have one nurse, and we had her for 2 nights. Our first night when we went in for induction, and then day delivery to day 1 year old night. And she was fantastic, and she loved Walter. She knitted him a little hat to match one of his outfits he was wearing. Everybody was pretty much really cool with the cloth diapers. He's only been in one disposable his entire life, and he's almost two weeks old now. The very first diaper they put him on, when they went and like weighed him and measured him, I wasn't in the mindset of, oh, Joe, get out this diaper to put on him. So I'm going to insert some photos here, and I will also just say, you know, we're so blessed and so thankful, because he is such a perfect baby. He is not fussy at all. He has the best little temperament. It's pretty much like he's non-existent, because he's just so good. Like, it's so shocking to me. His brothers absolutely love him. He's got Sully and Sam as his big brothers, and they adore him. Sully has really surprised me. I really thought it was going to be more so Sam, because Sam, we've talked about the baby in mommy's belly my entire pregnancy, and I think he knew what was going on, where Sully, I don't think it registered with him at all. But whenever we introduced them to the baby, my mother and grandmother came over to bring the boys, because they looked after them while we were in the hospital. And they were just right there. They knew what was going on. And Sully just loves his baby Walter. He's right there if baby cries to try to give him a pacifier or a bottle. He helps me pat his back, trying to burp him. He brings me diapers. Yeah, he's just really surprised me. And a horrible headache since I gave birth. I had bad headaches the last trimester of my pregnancy, and they've just not went away, and Tylenol and ibuprofen do absolutely nothing for it. My doctor did prescribe me another headache medication, I think the week or so before I went in to deliver, because it was so bad. It was $98 for like a week's worth of pills, and they did absolutely nothing. So I don't know what I'm going to do to combat that, but it really bugs me. Like, it makes me just want to close my eyes. But yeah, so everything else is going pretty well. I had a really rough start to postpartum, and I ran up to my doctor's last week to be checked out down below. But everything's fine. It's just my healing process is different this time because I had a different experience delivering that big-headed baby boy. But yeah. We'll talk all about that though if I do postpartum updates. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see y'all in the next video.